All right, it's a beautiful afternoon and thanks for joining us on our program on TV, Africa Discourse. My name is Evan Sunogugi. Well, on the streets of Kigali right now, we understand that jubilation is almost there. Talking about the election in Rwanda. And for the very fourth time, Paul Kagame is so close to being the president once again in Rwanda. And I want to say kudos to him because of the way that he has ruled for almost about 30 years now. It's been oncoming since 1994. And of course, we understand that Paul Kagame is one guy that Rwandese will not forget to. They will never forget him because of the way he brought a respite to Rwanda. And of course, because of the way that he made that nation to be one of one of the best nations now, if there's any word like that, in terms of economy, in terms of political stability, and of course, in terms of international reputation. Paul Kagame has took Rwanda to El Dorado. So we're going to be looking at the election this afternoon and see how close Paul Kagame is to victory one more time. I've got two gentlemen here on set and a lady who is going to be joining us virtually. And please join me to welcome Professor Buniyami Ayinde, Professor of Pharmacognosy from University of Benin. Sir, you're welcome to this program.
Good afternoon, viewers at home.
Okay, and also the very erudite and eloquent Nowita Igbotako, a serial author, and of course an international resolution expert. Nowita Igbotako, you're welcome to the show.
It's a pleasure. Good afternoon.
Okay, so when we get Madam Professor Florence Masajinwa, we should be able to bring her on board on the show. All right, so gentlemen, as we speak now, the elections are still ongoing in Rwanda. I was actually going through some videos on the social media a while ago. I saw where Paul Kagame had to do the needful to also vote for for his election. Now, there are so many factors that ordinarily somehow one would have thought that we militate against Paul Kagame in this election. But from the way things are going now, it appears that he's having an easy sway to victory. You talk about his very tough nature. Some persons say he's more of a despot. That's the way they put it now, rather than being a leader. But all that is working for him. So, gentlemen, apart from some of the negative sides of Paul Kagame that would have ruined him, what else can we really say is actually going to give him this victory in this election? I'll start with Professor.
Well, thank you very much. There are a lot of things that must have assisted him to have upper hand over his co-contestants in the election. Going back to 1994, when Rwanda experienced the genocide that decimated most of the population, particularly when the then president died in a plane crash, which eventually led to the unfortunate genocide prompted by certain persons among the Hutus and
the Tutsis,
among the affecting the majority of the minority Tutsis and the moderate Hutus, leading to the death of more than almost 1 million people. He came at a time when the country was in ruins and gradually developing the country after becoming the president. And if you look at it from 1994 to this time, we are talking of solid 30 years. So what we had is that more than 65% of the population are between 0 to 30 years. So if you have the bulk of the voting percentage within this bracket, who of course would not have known any other leader other than Kagame. Since those people that were giving birth to from 1994 till date, majority of them will vote, and they will only have read about the history of Kagame Rwanda before 1994. And after 1994, what happened? Who are the leaders? Who is this leader they have known? It is only Kagame. So it may be difficult for any other person to come up, particularly people around this age bracket. He's already 66 because people see him as more or less the savior of the entire country.
Yeah.
So with all the things that he has done to improve the lives of ordinary Rwandans, they will not want to vote for another person other than Kagame.
Okay. All right. So, Nowita Igbutako, now, in this election, perhaps, you know, we really don't have too many strong and too many oppositions. We just have about two of them. We've got, yeah, we've got Habi Ness, and of course, Juan Felipe Mbajumana. You know, those are the only two opposition, you know, people that we've got in this election. Now, apart from what Professor said, that those that are voting in this election are probably those that have been given birth to for the last 30 years. Is that the reason why that opposition parties and politicians also decided to just let it be Paul Kagame all the way?
Well, for me, Paul Kagame is indeed a savior.
Yeah.
Yes.
Given the reality of the situation that happened to Rwanda in 1994, the genocide. And he's had everything going for him. But one thing we must point out very clearly, he is a fantastic guy so far. But he's a dictator by excellence. And ruthless for that matter. You have to look at the report of Amnesty International. They send people to the place. Assassinations, killings, persecutions. He's a dictator of the, he is at the peak of his dictatorship. You understand? And there is this fellow, Diane Rigari, a lady, a strong opposition force, who's supposed to be in this election. But because Kagame did not want any opposition, he did not want you to challenge him, that woman was dropped. So we have a Rwanda where opposition voices have been stiffened. The press have been gagged. Kagame is in charge of the press. Kagame is in charge of virtually everything. He controls the media. He controls the youth. That's what we have brought here. The larger number of children that have come between 1994, there are about 28,
29, 30 years.
Yeah. So they've not any other leader except Kagame. So in as much as the fact remains that Kagame has done well, but he has a dark side. That's because I belong to the human rights community. I'm an activist, a human rights democratic activist, part of the things we do. So I will not dance totally to Kagame's Rwanda. Yes, he's a darling of the West. He has brought education, he has the children going to school, air care, and what that. So I'm not saying that this man has brought all these positive things to the detriment of fundamental human rights, of basic freedom in Rwanda.
Are there reports of
it is clear
violation of human rights?
I just said authoritatively of the Amnesty International. This is an international organization that are rooted. They send their people on the ground. The report is not a palatable report. Kagame has squeezed the country under his control. But we will give it to him. We will plead, as we used to, that he should allow some freedom of speech and things like that, even as he has brought development to Rwanda. But come to look at it. That is why I will not totally blame Kagame. Well, we have other African leaders who are neither here nor there, who are ruthless, who are dictators of the highest level, who are monument of shame and disgrace, but they do not even bring development to their country. So, give or take, we should still clap for Kagame. because he has brought development, due to the detriment of fundamental human rights, freedom, and all that. So that is the dark side of Kagame. But, and because put him on a scale with other African leaders, most African leaders, as I said, they are proven to be monument of shame and disgrace. They do not mean well for African people. But this man, he went to the horror of the Rwanda genocide. He learned a lesson, and he's bringing to bear, because it's a miracle, so to say. It's an administrative miracle in 30 years. But I want to say, his dark side is what I don't like. As a leader, we have succeeded so much. I think you start to groom some people. Must you be there for a donkey years to know that you are father of the nation, you are that? So I don't subscribe to his elongation of power.
Okay. Now, Professor Ayinde, now, sometime in 2015, Paul Kagame sponsored a bill that gave rise to the kind of thing that is enjoying now. I mean, the bill was passed into law, and that law allows Paul Kagame to contest as a president from then till 2034.
2034.
2034. This is 2024. So he has about 10 more years that he can run as president. Now, we are looking at a situation whereby if he wins this election, he's going to be for the fourth time, as the president there. Now, to some Africans, this is probably one thing of one character of the African leaders. They want to be there forever and all that. But how come that in Rwanda, despite this disposition, we still have, Rwandese probably still yearning for Paul Kagame?
Well, if you look at the situation in Rwanda critically, you observe that the bulk of the people that belong to his generation. Remember that when he became president or the head of state in 1994, when he led the Rwandan Patriotic Front.
The front, yeah.
Which was a section of the RPF. Yeah. Now, he was the leader of the RPF and eventually fought assiduously to make sure that they defeated the government forces then and eventually became the president. Now, looking at the generation of people that ruled with him, he was just 36 years old. Now he's 66. The bulk of the people that were with him then, they must have been the people that, some of them may have died as at now. And those that continue to exist with him may not see him as someone they have to contest with. And more or less, he will see himself as the overall boss. Whoever wants to see, they can only offer any kind of suggestion that would be favorable to him as far as the overall developer, in quote, of Rwanda. Now, having said that, you also come to realize the fact that, as it is, any politician that will come up would either belong to his generation or those that were very, very young when the Rwanda genocide started in 1994. So all these people will be looking at him. And the major problem that we do have, he must have projected 2034, hoping that by that time, one, he will have been 40 years in office. And if God favors him with longevity, he will still be alive. So his calculation, in my own view, will be
70s.
Yes, it will be 70. It will be 76. Yeah, it will be 76 by then. That is if he lives up to then. And God willing, God make us all witness it. We should not be surprised by it in the next 5 or 7 years, before the expiration of the 10 years that he projected. Automatically, he will come up with another one that he will say he wants to extend it by another 10 years, hoping that by then he will still be alive. But the problem we do have as human beings, particularly African leaders, those of people that see themselves at the end of affairs, when you are aging, when you are advancing, you should be able to look back and train certain persons that will have the same theory, the same mentality with you, so that by virtue of anything, ailment, death, there will be people that will continue the program that you have started with, that will even be able to better it. assuming he dies today, who will come up to say that we want to rule Rwanda the way this man has been doing it? It may be difficult. So it's something that every leader must be thinking about. And it's not too late for him, because in my own view, he feels he can rule and he must rule till God calls him to himself.
Okay. Now, Nowita Igbosako, perhaps within the sphere of what we are still talking about now. Now, don't you think Africans, perhaps you and I, what we are really looking for is good governance, good government, not really concerned about the number of years that head of state stays, you know, I mean, with what is happening in Rwanda. Don't you think that seems to be the situation that Africans are inwardly yearning for? They really don't care whether you spend donkey years there. Just give them good government. Don't you think so? Well, maybe you may have to relate it to what is happening back home in Nigeria.
Well, I agree with you that Africans or any sane society, they yearn for good governance.
Yeah.
But must it be at the detriment of peace? Sorry, will it be at the detriment of abuse of fundamental human rights? Will it be at the detriment of mass killings, political assassinations in a society?
It may be your own view.
Yeah, we yearn for good governance.
Yeah,
so we don't have good governance in the name of a dictatorship that is unblinking, that is ruthless, that doesn't reckon with human beings.
Are Rwandans complaining?
But the facts and figures are there.
All these are external, reactions,
Okay. Why is it that we are having only 2 fellows contesting with him? Diane Rigara, a vibrant opposition leader, a lady, was screened out. Somebody would have stood, say, hey, Paul, this country is not for only you. She was screened out. So while we yearn for good governance, okay, let me quickly go to the United States. Look at what is happening between Biden
and Trump.
What is going against Donald Trump? Because Donald Trump he has positioned himself as an authoritarian leader. Somebody who has said on his day one when it comes to power, he will become a dictator. Somebody who is applauding generally racist character that stormed the Capitol. He has that one going against him. And from our own projection, it will be very difficult for Donald Trump to come back to power. Even a Biden, he doesn't have age on his side. Because the American people, they value their freedom. In spite of the economic glories and whatever particular development in the United States. Yeah, so don't talk Rwanda. I'm not saying that because Kagame is providing leadership. But I don't agree. I think leadership and oppositional, look at Europe. You have countries. I'm not saying we should clap hand for Kagame. You want to equate him with people like Putin, who has succeeded in elongating himself in power for under donkey years. You understand? In as much as we value democracy, we value freedom, we value good governance, my grounds is that it should not be at the detriment of this basic right.
Okay.
The Constitution should not be trampled upon. Just as Trump has said, what is wrong for a Kagame to groom a leader? Look at Singapore. One guy just come in after the guy that left. Liu Yu, the guy that brought development to Singapore. Look at the process that brought the new guy. I challenge Kagame. Kagame go to win this election. It's a win-win. There's no. But I challenge him, if he's listening to us, he should put in place a process whereby like-minded character like him will emerge. He will bring development to Rwandans. Okay. Then it should be all this issue of clamping down, putting people into dungeon, cold-blooded assassinations. You don't allow the best guys to appear. I don't subscribe to that. In as much as we yearn for good governance, That is my position.
Okay. All right. So we're still expecting Professor Masajunwa, if she can join us virtually. We'll just, go on the show. Now, gentlemen, let's look at some other issues that ordinarily one would have thought that it would have affected the seeming victory that Paul Kagame is going to get at the end of this election.
Get it.
Now, we heard about how the government of the day supported the M23 now. That's what they call
M23.
M23.
The Democratic Republic of Congo.
Yeah, with the fight against Congo and the M23 and all that.
Yeah.
Now, one would have thought that somehow it would have had an effect on Paul Kagame's victory in this election. But that is not having anything to do. Professor, you want to shed light on this?
Well, the problem of Congo is an artificial one, so to speak. Ditto for problems that you have in Burundi, ditto for problems that you have in Congo. The reason being that if you look at this axis, you have quite a large deposit of mineral resources that the West is interested in. Various countries, they have their various mines in Democratic Republic of Congo. You have mines that belong to Russia. You have some that belong to UK. You have some that belong to Belgium. All these people find a way.
Canada,
Germany,
all of them
have their mines there.
They have their fingers on African West.
Yes, and more or less, they find a way of injecting violence into groups. Grouping people together, setting them against the government, setting them against one another. And that is what is happening there. The same thing by extension can be said to be happening in the northeast Nigeria and the northwest. We will not want to go into that. All that is happening there, where you have a tiny country as small as Rwanda, tiny country as small as Burundi. Don't forget that the two of them are neighbors.
Yeah.
And then these countries that surround Rwanda, be it Sudan, be it Democratic Republic of Congo, be it Tanzania, be it which other country, there is none of them that is at peace as we speak.
Yeah, but there's no way they can be at peace, because we cannot talk about resources in Rwanda without going back to the Tutsi, the Tutsi and the Tutsi.
Yes.
I mean, it's still part of what else.
Well, the Tutsi, just don't forget that you have in Rwanda, you have the Hutus having the highest population, so to speak,
yes.
About 85%.
And some of these ethnic groups now also span back to the neighboring countries.
Yes, they are also, the Tutsi are also in Burundi. And incidentally, when Belgium was ruling Burundi, Belgium was ruling Rwanda, they made sure that these minorities are the ones that were ruling the majority.
So was it really a fight of resource control? Who owns natural resources? The Tutsi and the Hutu fight?
It's a matter of we are large in population, and also from history they said originally the Tutsi are not from Burundi, and they are not from Rwanda. But you look at their population, it's just like what we have in Nigeria. You have some part of the north, so to speak,
that are alleged not been that come from Nigeria.
That are not from that you say they are not from Nigeria. You have some Hausas, they are from Niger.
Yeah.
You have some part of Yoruba land. You have some in Republic of Benin. When they speak their own version of Yoruba, they are variants. The conventional Yoruba people understand them. These are the things that are happening among them as well. All these were deliberately done to make sure that the real colonialists those days already had this foresight that there should be a way of entrenching discordance amongst these people in future, so that they will never see themselves as one.
So that's the artificial...
that's the artificial problem that I said there. Now, even look at Nigeria. All the countries that surround Nigeria, none of them speak English like Nigeria. Right? Cameroon, they don't speak English, except the western part of Cameroon.
Yeah, French.
Niger,
part of French,
they speak French. Chad, they speak French. Republic of Benin, they speak French. Togo, they speak French. Right. So if there is any problem in any part of Nigeria and there is need for people to move out of Nigeria, when they get to those places, it will not be difficult for them to be identified because the problem of language will be there. So all these are artificial problems that are deliberately entrenched in Africa, and many African countries are suffering it today. And it's just that we need leaders who have this foresight, who have this understanding of finding harmony among different peoples in each country. And that is what we need. And I feel that was what Kagame was able to provide at the time of need in Rwanda. Yeah. And people appreciated it, voted him in, and he felt in his own wisdom that the only way to continue to sustain this peace and harmony in Rwanda is for him to continue to be there. But as human being, as a rational human being, he's supposed not to. There should be a way of grooming the coming generation, so that it will not be that the end of Kagame is the end of Rwanda.
All right, so I think we should be careful enough to also know that the constitution in Rwanda allows it, so that it won't look as if maybe it's just Kagame's soul.
Who manipulated the constitutional process? Are we not in Africa? Is he not, as I said, you want to outlive, if it doesn't take time, he will outlive, before he leaves, it will not be, it's the whole of Rwanda. Yeah. So somebody has been there over almost 30 years. What constitution?
All right, so
he manipulated the thing, and we knew what happened behind the door. How the referendum was done and things like that.
Okay, let's quickly take a short pause now, and on the other side, we're going to be looking at issues around the UK, Rwanda, asylum settlement issue. You know, that is also, you know, we'll see the impact, whether it had any impact or it's having an impact on the election. And of course, we also see, good enough, what is happening in Rwanda, Rwandese in Uganda. We may be able to show you some video clips. We'll see how Rwandese in Uganda, in neighboring countries, how they are voting in this presidential election. And we don't have that in Nigeria. We'll quickly take a short pause now. I'll be right back. All right, thank you one more time. The program's still here, Africa Discourse on Independent Television with Evans Huge. We are talking about Rwanda election, and it's right away ongoing in Rwanda. Yes, and we understand that Paul Kagame has been there since 1994. You put that together, it's been there for 30 years. And, you know, it's most likely going to win this election. And also, when he wins, that takes him to another tenure of 5 years. Now, should the case he completes that for 5 years, in 2015, there was a bill that passed through and it became a law in Rwanda that Paul Kagame can be the president, can run for president till about 2034. So he has about 10 more years to go to be the president in Rwanda. Now, the beauty of this election, like what was said a while ago, is that Rwandese outside Rwanda are voting. We saw a couple of Rwandese in Uganda, in Sudan, casting their vote. That's the beauty of the election. Then we're going to be rolling over some videos so that you get to feel what it is like in Rwanda. All right, so this lady now is visually impaired. She's a voter, and she just casted her vote a while ago in Rwanda. So you can see the assistant, you know, electoral officer there assisting her, and she's been, you know, led away after she. All right, so there's President now, Paul Kagame, also casting his votes. You know, casting his votes and having a chit chat with. All right, so she just handed over her voter's card to one of the electoral officers there. Right, so he goes for the ballot box. You can see the voter ballot, the ballot paper now, wherefore the Paul Kagame there, the president of Rwanda. All right, so he just dropped his votes. I'm sure he voted for himself. You know, like what we have back home in Nigeria, whereby our politicians begin to put some funny ones that you didn't vote. You didn't vote for. All right, so Paul Kagame voted for his party and voted for himself. So we still have two gentlemen here, Professor Bo Abuniyami, the Professor of Pharmacognosy, University of Benin. Prof, thank you one more time for joining.
You are welcome.
And the very erudite Butako, absolute serial author, Igutato, thank you one more time. Now, pleasure. Gentlemen, let's look at, let's take it above Rwanda now. Relationship that Rwanda had with Britain, the asylum seeker immigration policy that had to bet in Rwanda. Now, Rwanda had an understanding with 10 Downing Street that, look, if the government changes from conservative now to Labour Party, that arrangement stops. As a matter of fact, Paul Kagame said that despite the 15 billion euros,
that he's not releasing it.
That if there's anything that has been given to Rwanda, he's going to take it.
That's what he said.
So automatically, when Keir Starmer now became the Prime Minister in Britain, that whole arrangement stops. Now, gentlemen, are we seeing this having a kind of an influence on the victory that Paul Kagame tends to get in this election, Professor?
Well, one may not be far from the truth, because if you look at the population of Rwanda vis-a-vis the landmass that they have, it's been reported to be one of the most populated, overpopulated countries in Africa, if not in the world. Because you have a population of almost 14,500,000 people, having a landmass of just about 26,000 kilometers, so to speak. If you combine the population of, that's to say that even the population of the entire Lagos state is more than what you have in the whole of Rwanda.
Rwanda, yeah.
So if you have that population, what exactly would you say you want to gain by transferring asylum seekers all the way from UK, dump them in valleys or mountains where in the first place they will not be used? I mean, majority of them are not used to the terrain there, to the weather. So it's like adding more to the problem of Rwanda, because looking at their own means of sustenance, they rely more on agriculture. And part of the problem that they have, because of this land mass, because of the terrain, mountainous terrain that they have little land to practice agriculture. So it's the little that they have that they find a way to maximize, to sustain the population that they have. You can now imagine transferring hundreds of thousands of people back to them, adding to the population. Eventually, the food available will now become meager for the small population, and that, in a way, will affect the economy.
Yeah, but it was a sponsored program. it was not as if...
That's a bill that came out from Downing Street, which Kagame said he will not return.
Yeah, no, he's going to return that bill. He said he will return it. He said...
The cash?
Yes, he said so. I remember he said so, that should the case, if Labour wins, that money readily...
But I read recently, it's like it's reneging.
Really?
Yeah. He said he's got the money, and they say there's some patches already to Rwanda.
All right, so apart from that now, what on earth do you think, what on earth do you think really made Paul Kagame to accept that deal?
Well, I think Kagame, being a darling of the Western world, I use the word darling, he doesn't want to offend them. One, the financial implication. You know how many billions of pounds sterling that is involved. And being a smart guy, he's a very smart president. That's why he has succeeded so far. He has looked at the bulk of money coming, and he knows that he would just use a meager of that money to do whatever in the name of asylum. The rest money will do for the development of Rwanda. It's a very smart guy. So he accepted it, one, for the financial carrots. The financial, advantage. That's my view. Because given the reality Prof had just told us, which I know before, about the limited landmass in Rwanda, when you have more mountains and valleys and things like that, ordinarily he would not have succumbed, he would not have opened his hands and welcomed such policy from Downing Street. But being a smart guy who wants more development to Rwanda, he wants to use that money to provide more facilities to the detriment of whoever they are sending. That is my view. So, and the policy is even a backward policy. I know I've appeared on this station, on this, you know, and we kicked against it. How can you send people all the way from the Atlantic? You cross, you don't make kilometers, come to Rwanda. And one of the things he did not know, probably the scale will have fallen from his size now. Being a darling of the Western world, you know imperialism. You're talking about ethnic manipulations during pre-independent and post-independent. That's what you were saying. How they use ethnicity, how they demarcated, how they turn the people against each other. That's ethnic manipulations. It's ethnic politics. That was the Western power did. Given what we know about imperialism, given what we know about neocolonialism, given what we know, the Western powers, if they see where they will pull Kagame down, they will pull him down. In the name of undoing Africa and Kagame. I'm telling you the truth. If you look at the history, you need to read how Europe underdeveloped Africa. What have Rodney? You know, they have books. They are. You know, I am a media consultant. I am a consultant researcher. Look at the books. For me, thank God that a new government has appeared in Downing Street. If that policy, you know, has gone 1 or 2, 3 years, you'll be surprised they will use somebody to bring Kagame down. I'm telling you, imperialism is real. Neocolonialism is real. Why Africa has been subjugated is the fact that the Western powers are feeding on the resources of Africans. In as much as they appreciate what Kagame is doing in Rwanda, my brother, if the Western powers, they have their spies, espionage and what have you, they have their men. If they have what they will use to pull this guy down, they will pull him down. Okay. I'm sure that was one of the reasons they brought that in to pull it down, but unfortunately the thing has backfired, the thing has expired.
All right, so Professor, we're still trying to wonder what could probably give Paul Kagame this victory that is so close. I mean, one of the concerns of an average Rwandese in Rwanda today is that this asylum seeker, British asylum seeker in their country, the deal has stopped now. Now, what now becomes of their fates? I mean, these are different people of different nationalities, and most we understand that most of them, they cannot even identify where from anymore. Now, is it going to be the case that 10 Downing Street will now make another arrangement for these asylum seekers to be taken back to Britain, or they are going to be in Rwanda, and these are issues. I mean, ordinarily, Rwandese would have voted against Paul Kagame that, look, this arrangement, you didn't do it in our interest.
Well, of course, those persons, just like he said, there are different ways, there are many ways through which these colonial masters can plan the downfall of any country, any leader they do not want. Yes. Apart from planning, espionages, terrorism, anything, they can find a way of removing the person, and the person will still be smiling with them. They will not know. You can just, let's look at it from this angle. Taking hundreds of thousands of people from UK, asylum seekers to Rwanda, the instruction could have been there. You get there, this is the person you must vote for. So if the gap, hypothetically, the gap between Kagame and any of the opponents is very narrow, it will not be difficult for them to manipulate and find a way to eliminate him. I'm coming.
And but in asylum seekers now, I'm not sure if they can vote in this election.
I'm coming. They
are voting in this election.
They could find a way of telling them you can vote. Right?
Or maybe influence
them. And not just that. Any of them could be trained to make sure that they eventually become the real serious bone crossing the throat of Kagame.
Yeah.
You know, gentlemen, I begin to see another Tutsi, civil war issue, perhaps in the next decades or centuries to come. I mean, we are looking at a situation whereby these guys are not going to go back home. They're going to settle down in Rwanda there.
Don't be surprised that as at now, as we speak, some of them may have gone into being membership of M23.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some of them may have gone into being membership of Uganda rebels that are fighting Museveni. Some of them may have gone into Burundi to become part of, it could happen like that.
Yeah.
And since these are people who already more or less said bye-bye to their various nations, to their various tribes, that if you see me, see me. If you don't see me, that's the
dissolution.
All right, so as we look at it one more time now, what are the lessons that we can pull out from this whole election? Paul Kagame, being there for 30 years, going for another 5 years, perhaps another 10 years. And of course, the whole situation around the asylum seeker, immigration policy and all that, and issues that ordinarily would have not allowed Paul Kagame to win this election. So what are the major pullouts,
in this election?
Yeah.
Paul Kagame is having his way. And he wants to be a father figure, eternal statesman. Recurring statesman. He doesn't want to vacate the scene. And he's having fun. And one of the reasons that he's having fun, real fun in his country is that one of the reasons he allowed that deal for Downing Street. Because he has ulterior motives to use those guys with some of the things the professor have mentioned. You understand? He's having his way. And he's going to win this election with a landslide because he has pocketed the media. He has resources. He has his men.
Even the foreign media?
Well, he's a darling of the Western world, of the European, so given his achievements, so to say. And apart from, Amnesty International, that is voicing the dark side in terms of, human rights abuses, mass killings, cold-blooded murders, all those things. Yeah, but the West are not talking anything about it.
But that has always been the responsibility of Amnesty International.
So for me, I think, as I told Prof. behind the scene, it's a two-edged sword.
All right.
He's having fun. He has done so well for the country. And what he should do now is that he should groom somebody and he should relax the atmosphere of tension.
Okay. All right. So, Professor Buniyami, your major pullouts, 30 seconds.
Well, we have to learn from him, from Rwanda, because of course, he came at a time of turmoil. He came at a time of agony, not just for his tribe, but for the entire nation. Those of us that are here, our situation may not be as bad as it was in Rwanda. But the little we are able to do, wherever we find ourselves, let us do the right thing. So that no matter how long or how short we live as leaders, people who come behind will be able to say, these are the good things that this person has been able to fix, and they will remain permanently there for others to build on.
All right, so we want to say a very big thank you to Professor Buniyami Ayinde, Professor of Pharmacognosy, University of Benin, for coming on the show today. Professor, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
And also the very erudite Nwita Igbutako, Syria author and international conflict resolution expert. Nwita, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
All right, so to our viewers out there, independent radio and television, we go to nitty-gritty as it stands now. The collation of the election, the results are ongoing. Feelers from Kigali now suggest that. So Paul Kagame is so close to being the winner of the election. There's no doubt about that. And we also want to say kudos to other contestants. We have two of them now, Habineza, the two major contestants now, opposition parties, Habineza and of course Felipe Mbayimana. Those are the two opposition guys that have contested the presidential election with Paul Kagame in Rwanda. My name is Evan Sunokuge. Until the same time, next week on the same program, goodbye and God bless you.